So Agatha All Along, right? Well, if you don't mind, Ricardo, I just want you to do this, just like a brief summary of what took place, right? So
Yeah.
just letting you know. First off, this of course is the official sequel to the WandaVision TV series, which is one of my favorite TV shows of 2021. I think it was my
Yes.
second favorite in my opinion, and for me, that show just touched me. This just hit me emotionally, right? In terms of the idea of how we use nostalgia, how we use TV shows as escapism, right? You know, from real world problems, right? From when life hits you on your ass and you have to deal with it, right? How you use TV as a form of escape, right? But just sort of find yourself mentally in a world that feels happy and joyful, but it's the reality that you're in. You're being boxed in. You know what I mean? And how the show sort of frames it with with the relationship between Wanda and Vision, and then of course introducing us to a fan favorite character that would be Agatha Harkness, right? Played brilliantly by Catherine Hahn, right? I didn't even know about the character of Agatha until I saw WandaVision. And yeah, I would say she's a scene stealer though, especially when it was
Yeah.
revealed that Agatha was a witch and she was doing all these weird stuff behind the scenes alongside Wanda, of course, right? And of course, dropping that song, Agatha All Along, which is where, they base the title of the show from, right? So and then of course there was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where Wanda returned, and then her fate was left unknown, right? But I'll never forget, even back then when we were covering the full season of our WandaVision, we were wondering what Agatha's fate was going to be, right? Especially with the trap, or I should say the prison, sort of magical mental prison that Wanda put her in, right? I was wondering,
Right.
like, shit, like, what gonna happen to Agatha though? Like, what going on there, right? And it looks like this show is going to answer that question, right? What happened to Agatha? What is she going through, and how is she going to deal with this whole Wanda Maximoff stuff, right? But I should also mention too, before I wrap up this pre-ramble, uh, I know some critics, some more professional critics, got to see the first 4 episodes of this, and already they make the opinion of the whole show. They say that it's lackluster, and it's showing that the MCU has nowhere to go and all that kind of stuff, right? I don't know. I have not seen episode 3 or 4, right? We only saw the first two, which dropped on the same day, right? And for me, I'm honestly gonna stick around with the show to the very end, right? I think personally that it is off to a really good start. I'll talk about the first episode in particular, because I felt like it just took a little while to get its bearings, but from that point on, it was smooth sailing from there, right? And I think that they have a really solid setup for what could be a very fun spooky season warm up show, right? But it could also go off the reels like how Secret Invasion did, right? Because that
Right.
show also started off strong and then it just fizzled out, right?
Yeah.
Into meaninglessness, right? That was that. So I'm hoping that this show doesn't do that, especially because it's coming off of something so strong as WandaVision, right? Uh, but I guess in time we'll see, right? But for now, we just kind of sort of covering the first 2 episodes, so we're not gonna like give up our rating for those 2 episodes. We just probably talk about what we could expect going forward, and then when the season wraps up in October the 30th, we'll probably talk about it after Halloween, right? We'll just talk about the full season there. But yeah, Ricardo, you could talk about Agatha All Along, and you could mention how you felt about WandaVision and the character of Agatha Harkness.
Yeah. So yeah, WandaVision is still pound for pound for me one of the best things in MCU Phase 4.
Mm-hmm.
Really enjoyed it. Very great. Nice. Referencing a lot of old television, and they explain why. And yeah, this just lead into Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, which is a movie I liked enough. Did love. I thought we could get more from that, but it was still pretty good
Yeah.
for what they do with it.
Yeah.
And this show just leads directly from that. Effectively, it starts off where it plays off of something from WandaVision, which is the whole trapped in a TV show, aesthetic. They play the first episode basically like an episode of True Detective. So it's her breaking out of the spell in a sense, but it's the spell still happening. Whatever was happening to Wanda that she did to herself, she effectively did to um Agatha, but it's revealed that she only did it to Agatha. So the spell started undoing itself when she, in the last quote unquote last couple of weeks, basically was role playing as a detective. And what you learn is that it's her, reverse engineering her way out of the spell, because Wanda died, right from the events of from Multiverse of Madness. So they reference her dying from somewhere else, and her body being, well, it's unclear how her body gets back to the town, but they basically mention her dying from a blunt force trauma. Something falls on her, which is the building from, well, the big structure building, but also Wanda destroys the Darkhold. There's a big deal in the world of magic of the MCU, especially involving Agatha, because Agatha derives almost all power from the Darkhold. So now, even though Agatha gets out of the spell, she's now effectively powerless from that. And you learn her backstory involving her history with witches. A presumably ex-lover, comes into the play, played by what was her name?
Or Aubrey Plaza, though. Aubrey
Plaza. Yeah, it's slipping my mind right now. Yeah, Aubrey Plaza. But then other witches get pulled into the loop, involving something called the Road. And yeah, it's a bunch of other characters who comes into this play. I forget the boy's name, but it's this kid who also seems to be some kind of warlock who's doing spells. And he's introduced in the fantasy TV show detective boilerplate storyline. That's supposed to be true detective, but also they flip it, and he's in the real world. Well, the real world, we put it in quotes. It's unclear what he is, because every time it's time for him to explain his backstory, Agatha can't hear what's going on, and it's unclear if it's a spell that affecting Agatha only, or is a spell affecting him, because he's hearing himself explain himself and his name, but nobody else seemed to could hear it. And anytime it's time for her to, his name is to address someone else, she interrupts him. So it's not clear if anybody else can hear his story and what's going on with him. So he's the big mystery box or what's going on. It's very, not so subtly very LGBTQ themed, especially with involved women, witchcraft, queerness. I think a couple or three of the actresses, they are either playing characters who are queer or themselves are queer. I think I don't know, Sasha Zamita was in this. I know her mostly from her time in SNL, but apparently she came out as a lesbian recently, so there's a whole thing there.
Okay, I actually don't know. I actually never saw her before. But yeah. Okay, I didn't know. Right.
No, yeah, but I know her from SNL. She had a short stint on SNL about 10 years ago, if I remember correctly. So there's that, and then they're playing with a lot of the magic and womanhood, and I think the guy, I don't know if he is gay in real or the character is gay, but it's probably both.
Actually, well, in real life, and the character he's playing is gay.
Right. So they're playing with that. Is a lot of that. They make it again, not so subtly, relationship with Aubrey Plaza and her. They're ex-lovers.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of bad blood there because we're not sure what's the backstory there. They have a whole thing with a black heart. There's a big reference there. And yeah, the ending, the ending of episode 2, it's very blatantly Wizard of Oz reference.
Yes.
If you know what Friends of Dorothy is, there's a whole reference in old LGBT culture. I kind of was getting what he was going for with that. So that might be the big factor as to why this having so many backlash, because the usual internet brainworm types, we're gonna have a big meltdown over this. Whatever. But yeah, as it is.
And in particular, sorry to cut you there. What I think Aubrey or somebody else was saying in the interview about how the finale, is going to be so queer, like just in your face with it or something like that, right?
Right.
I know it have people kind of scared, like, oh my god, what is the show?
Right. Yeah. So and it's played very campy.
Yes.
Like it's very deliberate, very deliberate camp. So, yeah, you're getting a lot of that from it. So so far I'm enjoying it for the most part. Like where they going with it. There's a lot of conceits and music. There's a song at the end of the second episode. They're playing with that a lot.
Yeah. I'll talk about that.
Yeah, and I as I say, I dig it so far. I can't say that I super loving it. It's just it's mostly fine. What they're going for. again, the big mystery box is this kid who you can't hear his name for some reason. I'm sure a bunch of people remember last time it had a bunch of people who had a big meltdown over Mephisto. So he might be the might be a possible antagonist because he's the one who kind of drive everything.
Yes.
With respect to the whole road thing. So they have to go to this thing called the road, and where the big conceit is a kind of Ocean's 11 type scenario where they have to pull together a team to travel this road, which is this very dangerous magical incursion, and you need specialists in some shape or form. And all these characters come together. One is like a potions master, the other one is like we call it clairvoyance, and all of them have these special abilities, and all of them connected to witchcraft, or formally connected to witchcraft because they lose their power, and it's not clear how or why they lose their power entirely, because I think the implication is that it's because of Agatha and Agatha's power set, or not. But all of them have a problem with Agatha in some way, shape, or form with the history, and they connected, they lose their power, and there's a whole subtext with respect to that. Again, I think I know where they're going with that, as it is. But yeah, so far 2 episodes, I having fun with it, and it's mostly because of Catherine Hahn. She's great. She just really holds it. Really genuinely funny comedy timing, and the nice acerbic, also sympathetic kind of lead. She bounces off of I really forget this kid's name. But and then her and Aubrey Plaza also is really good. But it has just that cynicism. There's good reason to hate her because there's a lot of bad blood historically with her. But they come together and they basically finally get to do the big starting the journey kind of thing. And it's a solid introduction. The first 2 episodes, it's funny and charming, and it's working for so far. I'm not getting into culture war, brainworms nonsense about this. I'll watch it and enjoy it for myself and see how it is. So far, I enjoyed these first 2 episodes. It kept my attention, which is the most important thing. If it keeps my attention, that means it's doing something interesting again. But the most interesting thing so far is this kid and the mystery box involving him, and why it is that nobody could, apparently Agatha or nobody else could seem to hear what this dude's, even his name is, right? We don't even know that. And it's deliberately blocked out, and, there's a lot of some secret magic going on with that. So when they reveal that or they pay that off, I hope they pay it off sooner rather than later. So far, digging it. It's fun. It's great.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I will admit though, the first episode I was like, okay, what's going on here, right? So yes,
Yeah,
I got caught up in the lie. That's what it is, right? Without spoiling it, right?
Yeah.
And I love like this in terms of just the meta nature of it all, right? Very similar to WandaVision. It's playing off of a particular genre of TV show. Well, in this case, it is like the true crime TV show, right? Slight spoiler. I do like that we get a specialized intro for that show itself, right?
Yeah. They pivot off of WandaVision in our way. No?
Yeah, and there's like a little bit. All right, so two things, right? The intro very reminiscent of both the True Detective and True Blood intros. They have a similar style. The music, rock, the sort of bluesy rock, same thing. But what catch me though, the slight spoiler, is this text scene from the Danish series, or based on the Danish series by so.
That is funny.
That is funny, right?
Yeah, that is funny.
Because it reminds me of like
it's WandaVision, yeah.
Well, that too. But I was also thinking of what's this show from Christopher Nolan by Insomnia, right? Which I think was a remake of some like a previous film from like the some European film or something like that, and he sort of remade it. So in other words, it's like the show sort of poking fun at, we're gonna take this really popular show or movie from Europe and we're gonna make it American, like on purpose, right? So that's that little bit though I thought was pretty hilarious, right? But at first, even though I knew what I was watching wasn't real and was not what the show is about, I was a little iffy. I wasn't sure what it was leading up to. Even when they brought in McGill, Aubrey Plaza into the mix, I was like, all right, I'm not sure. Okay, the acting kind of over the top.
Right. Well, the big thing is that
kind of weird.
How I follow it is I just follow who was in the tongue at the time now in WandaVision.
All right, well,
like,
to be honest, I don't remember it though. I don't remember the townspeople, to be honest. Yeah.
Right, no, yeah. So all the people in the tongue and who was the police detective and so on. So it's like, right, there's the black fella and there's this Indian guy and so on, so on. All of them famed the space. So all of them was in the tongue. So the question is who to look for who wasn't in the tongue originally from WandaVision. And there's really only Aubrey Plaza and then the kid. And so it's like, all right, is somebody trying to break her out of the spell probably or not sure, and they play with that, and then eventually you learn, it was her breaking out eventually, but the tongue was normal. because the guy was telling her, no, you just kind of was having a mental breakdown, and he was a little different, even though we was tolerating the existence.
Yeah.
As it was, right? He was helping you out in the tongue, and like, oh shit, like that's what was happening. And like, all right, that kind of clever, and that kind of was interesting for what it was.
Yeah.
They make it work for what it is, and it's like, yeah, so they build up an interesting enough mystery that they pay off almost immediately, which I liked.
Yeah.
As it was, because in WandaVision, it take 3 or 4 episodes to do the same
to really
thing.
get the gist of everything, right? Yeah. So I will
exactly.
say,
Right. So
that,
they just
yeah. Go on. Sorry.
no, yeah, they just kind of speed run the same beat now, which is a smart thing to remind you of WandaVision.
Yeah.
Because it's the same tongue. Like, all right, cool.
Right.
And they play with that, and so I like what they're going for. They just second episode is just setting up the actual plot of what's going on and how to play what's going on with them having to effectively get back magic.
Right.
And they do a lot of funny beats there. You know, Sasha Tometa kind of broke, and she in debt, and she gets sued, and they do a whole thing with that. The one who was like just working as this. She was a former cop apparently, but
I think she was working
as a mall security.
Yeah.
But what was interesting is that they didn't have her in the cop thing, so I don't know why they do the cop thing twice. However,
okay. Yeah. That's actually a good point. Yeah. But
anyway, I don't know. I don't know where they're going with that. The clairvoyant character is the most interesting because her powers is not like connected to her in some way, because when she made the prediction, she didn't even know what was the result of the prediction, which is her own name was part of the quote unquote list that she sets up.
That's true. Yeah.
And stuff like that, right? So it's like all of them have their own thing, and then the last person who, you know, Agatha deliberately leaves out, who's clearly supposed to be part of the thing, she brings in the other woman. So I suspect that woman might be relevant later, which is the neighbor. She was the neighbor from since episode 1 of WandaVision. But she seems to be a non-magical person, or you know, but we don't know if that'll pay off later. I think that might pay off. That might be a big interesting twist. These things are deliberate for some reason.
But yeah, again, it's an MCU show, right? So yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's the whole thing about it. Again, the big mystery box kid, he's the one who you had to keep your eye on. I hope they pay that again. I hope they do the bullshit Ralph Boner thing with that. As well.
Nah, I don't think so, because I mean, if it's one thing MCU, they have their ears, they have their eyes open to how people respond to things on social media, right? And people were not liking that, even though we love WandaVision, right? So I will admit, it was starting off kind of weird. Like, I wasn't sure, okay, is what going on here, right? Even though in the back of my mind I knew what was going on, right? But yeah, when Agatha, breaks out of a shell now, you know what I mean, and she sees what's going on, that's when things started to pick up, right? And also, not gonna spoil what happens here, but there's a moment where I was like, okay, we doing this now. Oh, okay. All right. I'll watch it over again just to make sure if it was the actress. That's all I'll say is like, okay, all right, range, okay, acting range, I see you, okay. And I will say how it ends though, where Agatha faces Vidal, who is played by Aubrey Plaza. Was a very eye-opening moment though, because of just the sexual tension between the two of them. You could see it though.
Yeah.
And I mean, Aubrey and them eyes though. I mean, I just see it, right? Yeah, perfect casting. She just has that look down, and you could tell that she had her eyes, on this person, right? But yeah, just a lot of sexual tension going on there, right? As far as the kid, right? Well, they call him Teen, which at first I was like, all right, we call him Teen. But then again, because he couldn't see, because we don't know his name, because every time he says it, there's a hex. It's like, oh, okay, so it's kind of sort of sarcastic in a way. Joe Luck, that's his name, right? His character actually works as well, right? And as I said before, both his character in the show and him in real life is gay though. So I do like that he kind of comes off as actually he comes off as this witch fanboy. You know what I mean? Like, I know about all your, I know about your errors, right? Like he talks about Agatha's Salem errors and all that kind of stuff, right? Like, he knows a lot about witches and whatnot, right? But we're not really sure where he fits in all of this. I don't like. Okay, if he wants to be a witch, that's fine. But I think there's more going on than that, right? I like that he is the impetus in just, like, he's the one who kind of gets the ball rolling, so to speak. Like, he's the one who mentions the road in the first place. And then Agatha's like, oh, the road, right, the road. I know what the road is. Let's go on that road, right? And to touch on that though, I like how in the second episode for me is where things really picked up. I really enjoyed that episode. Her meeting her, I can't even call them friends because all of them pretty much hate her. Yeah, just meeting these old witches who trying to conform to normal life. It's just like, yeah, let's go on this thing and let's go on this adventure. It's like, no, I mean, what, for you to come and take me powers? Nah, you know what I mean? But I like how it kind of all comes together, right? Speaking of that, the musical number, well, I should say the song caught me by surprise. But in the credits, they do mention, I forgot the name of the, right, so it's Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez, right? They were the ones who wrote the songs for WandaVision, because I saw the names in the end credit, the title sequence. By the way, that title sequence, hard, I fucks with that. Very, just all these visual references to witches. They even incorporate
they make a bunch of I think it had a shot for the craft and
they show the craft, they have a reference to Wicked, which is coming up theatrically very soon. But it's the one with the Simpsons though. We're not gonna see what it's like. Wait, what? Simpsons? Okay. I just stylistically it really reminds me of a show we talked about in the past. Great documentary, Woodlands Dark and Days Bewitched, right? Which a segment was talking about, films that touch on witchcraft and the sisterhood and all that kind of stuff, but how the patriarchy didn't understand that, and they thought they were demons and all that stuff.
It's tapping into that counterculture aspect of it and alternate narratives. And a lot of it is very gendered and they're playing with it. And I know where they're going with that, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I could see the culture war blowback happening to that. With the show in particular.
We can't have shows about this. What you trying to say?
Right.
All that kind of stuff. But I know that will get maybe not as bad, hopefully not as bad as with the Acolyte, where it was just ridiculous, where it wasn't about the story, it was just about, gay people in Star Wars. Like, shut the fuck up, man. I mean, anyway, right? But it's just the finale, though. I know that's where people kind of go nuts.
Look, even though, yes, I don't think the Acolyte is all that great. It was a lot of that, right? But whatever. I just learned to tune. I learned to tune that stuff out. So it's like, whatever.
The point is in the 2020s, either accept it or I don't know, watch IG Reels for the rest of your life, right? Anyway, so back to the music. Yes, so the song is great. It's very catchy. I have a feeling that when the soundtrack for this drops, which I feel might be, because I know their rollouts for music, Disney, Marvel Studios is kind of weird when it comes to TV shows. So they might drop one for the first half of the show, no minus 9 episodes. So it might come after episode 4, because I think that's the reason why critics saw the first 4 episodes. So I think when episode 4 drops, that's when a soundtrack will drop, and it will include that song. And then, the other half, when the rest of it done, that's when they'll throw in that. Or maybe they might wait till the whole show done and then drop everything on October 30th or 31st. I don't know. We'll see, right? But the song is catchy. The song works, and it's a bop. Well, I mean, in terms of what they're doing, it absolutely works, right? I could see this being like a fan favorite moment. That song in this, right? But also, like I say, the end title sequence is brilliant. Very, I should mention, very charmed, inspired, though, especially with the use of symbolism, with the pentagrams and stuff like that. Very charmed, inspired.
Right.
I like that.
Exactly.
That's dope, right? As far as where the story is going, I don't know, to be honest, though. It could go anywhere. But what I just hope that the show really taps into, because, well, I mean, for one thing, the release date of it, it had to give me some spooky stuff. And I got that near the end of the second episode, where you see the Salem 7. There's that moment with them outside the house and how they move, right? I mean, kind of very generic, kind of quick cut, kind of edity kind of thing. They move kind of, stuff that you see, in many supernatural shows, in the 2010s. You see that shit before, right? But in this particular case, it kind of works here because you don't know who they are, right? They're very very much remember though, the Nazgul from, I think it's Nazgul, right? Yeah, from especially from Fellowship of the Ring. So there's a scene where they enter the house, very Nazgul I was like, all right, I know it. I know what they're doing, right? But there's a lot more references and callbacks and stuff that I didn't even pick up on as well too. But unlike WandaVision, I don't see myself watching one of those breakdown videos to say, oh, that painting across there or whatever it is a reference to this or that. Nah, if something major happens, then maybe I will watch a video like that. But I don't need to do that. I remember, I used to do that for every episode of WandaVision. Just hear all these theories and, oh, this is what this thing means, all that kind of stuff. But now with this, right? But outside of that though, this is really going good, man. I should mention one last thing. Performances are solid. Again, Catherine Hahn really showing she acting range here. You can tell she just having a
great.
blast just playing this role again. Aubrey Plaza though, hot as well at this though. But Joe Locke though, for me is going to be, I'm not going to say a standout character, but he's going to be a very memorable character in this though, because he was unexpected. Like, I didn't expect that we would have a character like this here, right? But there's the witch fanboy who may have ulterior motives or may have some other plan in mind, but we don't know. That whole mystery box thing that you said earlier, that makes him probably the most interesting character in this whole show, and I'm really curious to see what they do with him next, right? But overall, that's like I'm enjoying this so far, man. But I would say first episode was kind of, I don't want to say sluggish. It was just like I was really sure.
I think it's just a short transference point, just to say, okay, this is the end of the spell. That's it. Just to connect it to WandaVision and make you remind you of WandaVision. That's it. It's serve a purpose.
I think why it really threw me off just last point is because I don't want to call it bad acting, but I'll call it intentionally bad dialogue, especially like how Catherine.
Right. Yeah, that's the whole point. It's a TV show now.
It's like, but why the dialogue so bad though? Like, I know what I'm seeing is not real, but why it bad? Like, I was wondering if the whole show is gonna be like that. But then when she breaks, I was like, nope, that's just the show. That's just it.
Exactly.
Don't worry.
Right.
It's not like the writers of the show, get lazy and writing shit and slapping Marvel Studios logo on it. No. It's done with a purpose. So I admire that. I like that. So this show is off to a good start, man. But again, as some critics saying, lackluster this and whatever. But their criticisms have nothing to do with the LGBTQ content, right? I just think it just have to do with the story. Like, I don't know, honestly, if they saw the first half.
I don't see it when I see it.
I don't know.
Whatever.
But I just hope
I'll see it when I see it. Whatever.
Yeah, I just hope at the end of the day, this is not Secret Invasion. I keep my fingers crossed. I'm hoping and praying that this is not Secret Invasion. Why? Because, I mean, Agatha, like we have not seen her since WandaVision. This was like an introduction to the world, right? So she have her own show now, and the last thing I want is that the show turn out to be terribly written. That's the last thing I want, right? And I'll stop there. So any last words on what you could expect for the show, or what expectations you have?
I mean, I hyped enough. It's fun enough. It's like whatever. I'm super hyped for it. I doubt I'll be like every week. I'll probably like wait every 2 episodes for this one. And I'm enjoying it. Digging it so far. As I said, I'd already compare it to Secret Invasion. But what I'm thinking is that I hope it's not. It'll suffer from the same problem that Acolyte did, which is it tell half of our story. That was my problem with Acolyte. It just the story now starting up and then it ends, which is like no, just kind of waste everything.
And by the way, right, boy, that announcement that they get no season 2, boy, wow.
Yeah, get cancelled. So it's like, all right, well, fuck it.
Stop, tell the story. Don't wait till season 2 to
they should tell our story. Exactly.
Anyhow, but forget that, So next 7 episodes, man, of Agatha All Along. We'll see them, and then, after Halloween, we'll talk about the full season, right? Yeah.